What if everything you were taught about power was deliberately designed to keep you from understanding it? Not ignorance, not accident. A strategy, older than nations, quieter than war, and still running beneath every conversation you've ever had. For centuries, the most effective rulers, strategists, and architects of civilization operated by a hidden set of principles. Principles that were never taught in schools, never spoken aloud in polite company. Principles so precise in their understanding of human nature that those who wielded them shaped the course of history, while the rest of humanity watched, baffled, wondering why some people always seemed to rise, and why others, despite effort, despite intelligence, despite goodness, never quite did. There is a hidden architecture to power, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. What you are about to hear is not a story about manipulation. It is something far more important. It is a map of the human mind, drawn in the cold, precise ink of one of history's most feared and misunderstood thinkers. Pay attention. What follows was never meant for you. Most people move through life as though they are simply reacting to what happens around them. They believe the world is something external, a series of events, encounters, and circumstances that arrive without warning and depart without reason. They believe power belongs to those who were simply lucky enough to be born into it, or ruthless enough to seize it. But that is the surface. That is the story told to those who were never meant to look deeper. Beneath every social interaction, beneath every negotiation, beneath every alliance and every betrayal, there is a system at work. A grammar of human behavior so consistent, so precise, that those who understand it can read the world the way a musician reads a score. The people who truly understand power do not appear powerful. They do not shout. They do not threaten. They do not reveal their thinking. They move quietly through systems, shaping outcomes long before others realize a game is being played. This is not cynicism. This is not darkness. This is the uncomfortable recognition that reality has layers, and that most people spend their entire lives on the outermost one, reacting, confusing, never quite understanding why things unfold the way they do. The philosopher and strategist Niccolo Machiavelli understood this with terrifying clarity. He did not write to teach cruelty. He wrote to describe reality as it actually is, not as we wish it to be. And what he described changed the world for those who dared to truly read it. Here is the first thing Machiavelli's philosophy reveals about the human mind. People do not respond to what you are. They respond to what they believe you are. This is not a small distinction. It is the fundamental insight upon which every structure of influence, leadership, and social reality is built. Your reputation, the image others hold of you in their minds, is not simply a reflection of your actions. It is a living construct, shaped by perception, by narrative, by the stories others tell and the stories you allow to circulate. And it operates with the same authority as any physical force. A person perceived as powerful will be treated as powerful, even before they have done a single powerful thing. A person perceived as weak will be challenged, dismissed, and diminished, even when their inner resources are vast. This is not superficiality. This is psychology. The human brain is a pattern recognition machine. It reads signals before it reads substance. It forms judgments in milliseconds based on posture, tone, scarcity, and association. And those first judgments create grooves, mental tracks that influence every subsequent interaction. Machiavelli saw this not as a flaw in human nature, but as the terrain. And like any skilled navigator, he believed the only intelligent choice was to understand the terrain, rather than wish it were different. You are already projecting something. Every day in every room you enter, something is being communicated about who you are. The question Machiavelli forces you to ask is, are you choosing what that is? Or are you leaving it to chance? He was born in Florence during one of the most turbulent periods in European history. A world of collapsing kingdoms, shifting alliances, and brilliant men destroyed by their own naivety about how power actually worked. Machiavelli served as a diplomat, a statesman, an observer. And what he observed broke something in him. or perhaps revealed something in him that had always been there. When he wrote The Prince, he was not writing a manual for tyrants. He was writing an anatomy, a cold, precise dissection of how political and social reality actually functioned, stripped of the comfortable fictions that idealism prefers. He wrote to the world that existed, not the world philosophers imagined. Men are so simple, he wrote, and so subject to present necessities that he who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived. This was not cynicism for its own sake. It was a form of radical honesty, a refusal to look away from what he saw. And what he saw was this: the gap between how people present themselves and how they actually behave is the space where all real power operates. His 20 laws are not a code of immorality. They are observations about perception, about timing, about human psychology, about the mechanics of trust and fear and loyalty. To read them carefully is not to become Machiavellian. It is to become awake, to finally see the invisible grammar that governs social reality, the one that powerful people have always known and always hoped you would never discover. Because knowledge of the game is the beginning of freedom from the game. To truly understand why Machiavelli's observations are so enduring, we must go deeper than philosophy. We must enter the psychology of the human mind, because that is where all of it actually happens. The conscious mind believes it is in control. It reasons, deliberates, makes plans, tells itself stories. But the subconscious mind, operating below awareness, processing the vast majority of every interaction, makes decisions long before the conscious mind is even consulted. Studies in cognitive psychology reveal that humans form social judgments within fractions of a second, before a word is spoken, before logic has any opportunity to engage. The subconscious has already decided, safe or threatening, strong or weak, credible or suspicious. Machiavelli's laws operate precisely at this level. Law after law addresses how to shape perception before rational analysis can interfere, how to establish presence, how to manage the information others receive about you, how to create conditions in which people reach the conclusions you need them to reach, not through manipulation, but through the precise architecture of context. The subconscious mind is also the seat of belief systems, the deep structures that determine how we interpret everything that happens to us. And belief systems are not chosen. They are absorbed from childhood, from culture, from repeated experience. They run like invisible software, filtering what we see, predicting what we expect, and shaping, without our awareness, what we will and will not allow ourselves to do. This is where Machiavelli's philosophy intersects with psychology at its deepest level. The person who does not understand their own psychological patterns will always be legible to those who do. And to be legible, in a world of competing interests, is to be vulnerable. Awareness is not just philosophical virtue. In Machiavelli's world, and in ours, it is the first and most essential form of power. And now, the revelation. The thing that Machiavelli's 20 laws, read together, reveal about the nature of power and the human condition. Power does not corrupt the soul. It reveals it. And the deepest truth Machiavelli offers is this: the world you navigate every day is not a neutral space. It is a field of competing perceptions, competing narratives, and competing desires. And the person who pretends otherwise will always lose to the person who does not. His laws teach you never to outshine the master, not because you are less, but because human ego is a force of nature. And ignoring, it is not nobility, it is foolishness. They teach you to guard your reputation above all else, because a reputation lost is almost impossible to recover, and the perception others hold of you shapes every opportunity that will or will not come your way. They instruct you to enter through the back door of other people's desires, to understand what others truly want, beneath what they say they want, and to position yourself as the path to those deeper needs. They reveal the mathematics of timing, that the right action at the wrong moment produces the wrong outcome, and that patience is not passivity, but precision. They illuminate the difference between true allies and those who orbit you only while the light of your influence burns bright. They teach you the economics of generosity, that those who give strategically build more lasting loyalty than those who give compulsively. But beneath all 20 laws, beneath every tactical insight, the deepest revelation is this. Most people sleepwalk through the social world. They react without understanding. They speak without observing. They reveal everything to people who reveal nothing, and in doing so, they surrender the one resource that can never be bought: awareness. Machiavelli's laws are not a guide to becoming cruel. They are a guide to becoming conscious. So how does one apply this? How does a person take the cold philosophy of a 15th century Florentine and translate it into something that transforms their actual experience of the world? It begins with a single practice: observation before reaction. Before you speak in any significant conversation, pause. Watch. What is actually being communicated beneath the words? What does this person want? Not what they are saying they want, but what the tenor of their voice, the tension in their posture, the history of their behavior is telling you they want. Machiavelli's first gift to you is the habit of reading rooms, rather than simply inhabiting them. The second practice is intentional self-presentation. This is not performance, it is curation. Understand the impression you create and decide whether it serves you. Audit the signals you send. Are you sharing information that weakens your position? Are you revealing vulnerability to people who have not yet earned the right to see it? Are you diminishing your value through constant availability? Or have you cultivated the quiet gravity of someone whose time and attention actually means something? The third practice is the cultivation of strategic patience. Most people lose what they could have had because they moved too quickly, spoke too soon, revealed their hand, demanded an outcome before conditions were ready. Study the art of timing. Learn to hold your position without anxiety. Let the field develop before you act decisively. The fourth practice is perhaps the most important. Know your own psychology before others use it against you. Identify your patterns of emotional reaction. Know what provokes you. Know what flatters you into poor judgment. Know where your blind spots live. Because those who wish to influence you, consciously or not, will always find those places first. These are not dark arts. They are the disciplines of awareness. And awareness cultivated with integrity is the foundation of genuine freedom. We began with a question. What if everything you were taught about power was designed to keep you from understanding it? Now you have a different question to carry. Not how do I become powerful, but how do I become conscious? How do I see clearly? How do I move through a world of competing narratives with integrity, with awareness, with the quiet precision of someone who understands the game well enough that they are no longer trapped by it? Machiavelli was not a monster. He was a mirror. And what made people afraid of his writing was not the darkness it introduced, but the darkness it revealed was already there, moving through the world, shaping lives, unexamined and unnamed. To name a force is to begin to have a relationship with it. To understand a law is to stand slightly outside it, to become in some small but essential way free of its unconscious grip. The most dangerous person in any room is not the one who wants the most, it is the one who sees the most clearly. And now, you have begun to see.